Hello, welcome back to the Live Reality Game Podcast. My name is Steven, and we're back today with more Surviving Reelfoot unfinished business content. Today, we're talking to the Queen of Idols, one of 3 players to ever find 2 idols in the season, and the first to find 2 idols and not play a single one for herself. We are with Amber. Amber, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. That was a little trivia that Parker came up with that's on the wiki page that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
How have you been doing post Reelfoot?
Pretty good. I've been traveling a lot. I think since the end of May, I've been home for 2 weekends.
That's really impressive. Where have you been traveling to? I know we talked a little bit before that one of your daughters just started at Auburn, right?
Yeah, she started at Auburn. I played another game the weekend before that, Big Brother Hogwarts in Nashville. I was in Miami. I was in Orlando. I was in Destin, Reelfoot, and then I was in Illinois visiting my family. So yeah, it's been a bunch of stuff. It's been a good summer, but I'm broke and tired, so I'm kind of glad it's over.
I don't blame you. That is probably more traveling than I would like to be doing.
I love it, but towards the end, I was like, okay, I'm good.
Well, I can see you strategically timed Reelfoot to be at the very start of it.
Yes. Yeah, I had one little thing before Reelfoot, and that was it. Well, unless you count my spring traveling, but we're not going to go back that far.
So I'd like to time travel back to 2019 when you played Surviving Reelfoot, Callipin's Revenge. Your tribe was probably had the most consecutive tribal councils I've ever seen a tribe go to, where you go to 6 pre-merge tribal councils in a row and have your tribe whittled down to 4 people, I believe.
3.
3 people?
3 people. 3 against 9.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the other tribe is called, but it was more of a purge than a merge, because you go out as the merge boot, and then your other 2 tribe members go out directly after.
Yeah, I mean, we were hoping that the original Takali was going to stay together, and we would have had the numbers. I think maybe we had like 1 vote to get through, and we would have had the numbers or something like that. And I was right, and that would have been the best move for every one of us to make. But Jamie kind of ran me down on the other side, and between the unfortunate name of Rob and I, and the fact that we were together, and they just went ahead and took us out because it made sense for Anessa and her group to do it. I don't really know why Jamie and Carlo and Peaches. Chapman could have gone either way, so I think he could have done whatever. But they took us out one after another, so we cannibalized. It was fine.
So looking back on your Callipin's Revenge game, what were your takeaways from that experience?
That I could do it, mostly. I didn't feel like I got to show the really kind of what I can do in a game. I went into that game, I got sick. Like the second I started walking out there, I don't know what was wrong with me. I just kept feeling like I was going to pass out. Mm-hmm. The next morning I was fine, but obviously having something like that happen to you the second you step into a game was not good. So I was kind of fighting from the bottom up. So I didn't really get a chance to make moves. I was just trying to stay alive.
Mm-hmm. And especially when your tribe is going to so many tribal counts like that, there's just no breathing room and ability to like make other things happen, it seems.
No, there wasn't. I mean, one of the things that I should have done and I didn't was Jeff's vote. I should have fought Rob on it. I think I could have had the votes and went behind Rob's back, but I didn't do it. And my damn loyalty got me again. And I think that had Jeff gone into the merge, I think things would have been completely different, but
And so that was the first game you ever played?
That was the first live game. Yeah, I've been playing online games since 2015.
Have you? So between Reelfoot, Callipin's Revenge, and Reelfoot Unfinished Business, had you had a chance to play other games?
No, I was supposed to play Survivor BC in 2020, and they closed the borders. And then I was going to play in 2021. The borders were still closed, and so now we're here.
So you get the invite for Unfinished Business. What did you want to do coming into the season?
Not be the first out. Until I knew who all was playing, I really couldn't. Even if you knew, once I knew everybody that was playing, I still couldn't make a decision until I knew who was going to be on my tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I got the best tribe I could have gotten. Like, perfect, honestly. The fact that Reynolds and I ended up being together, I was shocked. Never in a million years did we think that we were going to be put together on a tribe. I really thought I'd kind of be alone. I didn't think I'd be on a tribe with Taylor or Carlos either. So the fact that I got one of the three of them was pretty awesome. And then I got Frank too, which was just like, I was elated about that. As we see later on in the game.
So I guess like, I feel like you had a lot of connections coming into the season. I'm curious, like, were these from playing orgs with people, or how did you know Carlos? How did you know Taylor? Like, how did you know Reynolds? Like, where did you meet them all?
Oh, Carlos, I've known since 2015. We played orgs together on Twitter. I've known it since he was like a little kid, basically. And I actually followed him to the Skype org world where I learned about live reality games. So it's kind of all Carlos bringing me here. Taylor came into the community shortly after I did when I moved to Skype. And I'm not really even sure how we met. Eddie and I became friends a few years ago. He lives in Nashville, I live here. So we kind of had like a connection. And then Reynolds, really, I met him at Reelfoot the first time I played. Mm-hmm. And then we've had a couple of meetups since then. And we're just like, kind of the same person. I don't know. Like, I think we lose 25 brain cells when we get around each other. It's just, yeah, it's rough. It's unique. I know. I love it.
So you're saying, like, had not been for Reynolds, you have just dominated the season? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I think I did so much better because Reynolds was there. I felt comfortable. I guess I wasn't scared. Like, I didn't. Because I was so worried about protecting him, I wanted to put myself in front of him. But no, he gave me a lot of courage. Knowing him, Carlos, Taylor were in the game just kind of made me feel more comfortable. And the fact that I go there every year. I mean, I go there every summer, so.
Well, there's a lot to be said to have like someone you can really trust coming into a game or being in a game with you. That feels like it makes a world of difference because it eases up in the paranoia and helps you like, hey, you good?
Okay. No. Yeah.
Taylor has a comment. You played an Aliens game with her apparently before you really knew each other.
Yes. I can't remember. I want to say maybe she played as like Mike and Mimi's ultrasound picture or something. It's something funny, and I just remember going, "Oh my God, I love this girl," and that's when I ended up playing as her.
Yeah. And so what about Frank? Oh wait, so apparently you were playing as her. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was playing as her. Like, I was Taylor Gaby in the game, and she didn't really like after the end of it, of course she's like, oh my God, I want to know who it is. And then like, she doesn't even know me. So I'm sure it was a letdown, but whatever. It was meant to be.
Oh, sorry. What about Frank? How'd you know him?
So I met him, he played season 9 of Reelfoot. And we were standing around one day. It was at the end of the game, and he was talking about the LARPing stuff he does. And I remember just kind of watching him going, this dude is so wonderfully weird. And it was just, I couldn't stop listening to him. I don't know. He was just, it takes a lot for me not to lose interest. Like, for me to lose it, whatever, what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I get bored really easy. And so I could like follow everything he was saying, which is hard for me to do. So I don't know. And then last year I was with him at Reelfoot, and then my husband ended up playing a game with him. And mind you, I had no idea that we were going to be playing a returnee season. And I told Don going in there, I said, listen, be really careful of Frank. I said, I really like him. He's actually one of my favorite people I've met at Reelfoot. Mm-hmm. But he's kind of crazy. If you're on his good side, it'd be awesome. But if you're not, just watch out for him. And Don went into that game telling him that, which I didn't know he was going to do that. And I guess that's kind of where I started to feel more comfortable because he met Don. They worked together, and I don't know. So. But
Was it the Big Brother Hogwarts game last year?
No, it was Mayhem Manor.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So all intertwined.
You get the cast list released a couple days before the game begins. What's your reaction to when you see who will be competing?
I didn't feel bad. Like there wasn't a sinking feeling in my stomach. Okay, you will never hear me in a game ever say that anything's going my way, that I'm doing well, that I'm definitely going next. Like that is a superstition. I will never talk well about a game while I'm in a game at all. So I went into it going, well, I don't know how this is going to go. I didn't feel horrible about it. And that's about as good as it's going to get for me in a game. That's as much emotion as I'll let myself feel towards good.
Was there anyone else that we haven't talked about that you looked in the list and saw that you're excited about or nervous about?
I need to go back and look at the cast.
I can just recite their names. I have the wiki page pulled up on my other screen as a crutch.
I was hoping that we would be like up on the top, but oh, well, there we go. Okay. Actually, I'll tell you who I was really nervous about. People aren't going to believe me, and it was Carlos.
Why Carlos?
Carlos and I do not work well together in games. We don't work against each other, but we just can't. We don't see eye to eye, and we didn't see eye to eye in this game. One of my DRs I did, or confessionals I did before the game, I did one specifically about him, and I said, I'm really nervous playing with him because sometimes he can just go rogue. And I feel like I was completely nail on the head for this game too. It went exactly like I thought it would go. He doesn't open up. He's very closed off and holds everything in. And I'm the kind of person, if you're working with me, I need you to be completely honest, open. Let me bounce my dumb ideas off of you and you tell me why they're stupid. But yeah, so I was probably most nervous about Carlos.
I mean, you all work with each other at the final 7.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never do anything to harm the other. We just sometimes don't do anything to help either. So there's that. So, and I was nervous because I didn't know how Carlos and Reynolds were going to play together. And when you have two people that you're close with, obviously you want them to get along as well. And they did. I think they did do pretty well together until, Carlos voted him out. But Carlos and I disagree on this, but he does agree it probably wasn't the best move, but I made several dumb moves in the game too. So
you actually have a lot of people from your original season on this cast.
We did, but I will tell you, it was some of the weirdest, like none of us were connected really. I did feel like Brent and Tony were going to be connected. And they were on the original tribe together on season 9. Nate did not play with Tony or Brent. So I knew they probably weren't close. I mean, they could have been close. Tony's come back and helped with prod some. So they could have been, but I just didn't really feel like they probably were that connected. And then Clark went out really early. So I didn't play with Clark. I think him and Adam were on the same group. And so Adam coming in, he didn't play with anybody either. So none of us really played together.
Which is really interesting that they kind of have such a kind of scattered group of returning players versus like you look at the players coming from season 10, all from the same starting tribe. You have this really tight threesome of Josh, Megan, and Sharif with Sebastian and Carly as well. And so it's just a very different dynamic with your group.
Yeah, it was not that helpful to me, honestly. If anything, they were probably the hardest ones for me to deal with were the ones from my own season. But I love Rob. Love you so much, Rob. And I'd love to play with you. But in this particular season, I was actually worried he was going to be cast with me. Even though I would love to play with him, I don't think it would have been good for me to have played with Rob in a returning season. I think we're an unusual pair in the live game community because we didn't know each other prior to the game at all. We did not know each other to become each other's number ones like that and really just ride or die through a whole game. I don't know that you find that in LRGs that much. It's usually people who have somewhat of a background like Reynolds and I did. But yeah. So I just don't think it would have. I already had too many people in the game. I didn't need more.
Was there anything else you were doing to prepare for the season?
I lost 20 pounds,
That's
15 pounds right in there. Other than that, no, not really.
And then you play the game, you lose more weight because you're just like, oh, I just want to eat
I
this.
actually did not lose a pound.
Wow.
I brought a scale. So both seasons I came to Reelfoot, I brought a scale with me. I did not lose a single pound. I lost 4 pounds the first season, and I was out there for 6 days. I was out there for 7 days and did not lose an ounce, nothing. I don't know why. Reynolds didn't either. Reynolds didn't lose any weight either, so I don't know.
The food was the food situation was similar to your first season, scarcer, more liberal?
So I would say it was about the same, because my first season we won every food challenge, and this season we won every food challenge. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe we didn't win one or something, but we won a majority of them. And so I was really lucky with that. But if you look at my season and this season, completely different. So much easier this season to play. It was night and day. It rained for 4 days solid, I think, my first season.
The rain was oppressive your season. Because I remember watching, be like, wow, I'm so glad I played the month before you when it barely rained at all, because it just looked really awful.
Yeah, it really was. And I didn't even have anything to compare it to. Plus, again, I got sick, and I go back and look at myself in pictures of that. And there's not a whole lot of them. There's a few, and I am white as a ghost in every picture. So I never fully felt normal the whole time I was out there. So, yeah, it was so much harder. It was ridiculous. This time I could have stayed out there for 2 months. It wouldn't have bothered me.
So if Parker, if you're listening, we need a Reelfoot that's a little longer, please. Maybe 8 times as long for the true challenge. Just surpass the season. It's okay.
Although I think we've all seen when I get bored, that's not a good thing either. So,
well, what happens when you get bored in the game?
I get myself into trouble. I'll push the limits. I'll entertain myself. I'll do anything. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Anything that I can. I mean, I got away with so much this season. It was like I would get away with a little bit, and then I would get the slightest hint from production that they were kind of watching it. Just the fact that you're playing and that people are watching you, or the people around you a little bit more than other people, kind of gives you a little bit of momentum to just do a little bit more and a little bit more. And I just kept getting away with it. When Frank got voted out, so I will say the thing that was worst about this season that was not as bad last season is I never got cold my last season. And I'm really cold natured. I don't know why it ever happened. It didn't. We had 2 nights that were absolutely excruciatingly cold. You couldn't move away from the fire. Mm-hmm. You weren't sleeping. Some people did. A majority of people didn't. And I was one of those. And the night before Frank left, that was my second night where I had not slept, and I froze all night. And I just woke up that morning not feeling great. It was kind of the lack of food was getting me. And when I get really, really tired, I'm a mess. And then I walked up and I saw Frank. I saw his stuff on the porch. So I knew I had a bad feeling anyways. I actually was thinking about sending my idol over there, which he said wouldn't have done any good. He would have left with it in his pocket. So, but I just had a sinking feeling that he was going to go. And when I saw that, I was so upset because I knew my game just got a lot harder, so much harder. And then that coupled with everything else. And then Lydia starts crying, and that's it. I'm crying. I'm mad. I'm upset. I'm over it. And I pop off at the mouth. I will just not even think about what I'm saying if I'm mad, and I will say just awful things all the time. It's horrible. I hate it about myself. I can't stop it. And I popped off and I said, I just want to quit or something like that. And I didn't want to quit. I never, ever was going to quit that game. I just have a mouth on me. Mm-hmm. And Brent took me to the side and he said, hey, if you want us to throw this comp and vote you out, we can. And all of a sudden I kind of was brought back to reality for a second. And I was like, oh my God, I need to, like, I don't even know what to do. And all of a sudden, I know I have the idol. So all of a sudden I go, okay, vote me out. Because at this point, Frank is gone. My game just got so much harder. And so many people are connected to Brent. Like, even on my tribe, we were connected to Brent. So I was like, let's see if I can idle him out, which did not work. But and as that went on, I got more and more and more tired through all of it, and it became so incredibly obvious I had the idol, but yet I was still never a target. But my concern and why I used it, because everybody's going, why the hell did you use an else? You got 0 votes. I'm incredibly loyal. I did not want anything that I had done that day to affect him. And if if they were smart in that moment, they would have voted him out. It would have been a good move. So I couldn't help but think they were going to maybe take a swipe at him over me. And so I just played it on him just to make sure, because if I had walked back to camp and he hadn't, I would have felt like the worst person on the planet. So to me, I don't feel like it was a wasted idol. It gave me the peace of mind of knowing that he wasn't going anywhere. So there we go.
let's backtrack a bit, but thank you, because there's a noticeable reaction from you and Lydia that really catches everyone's attention at that moment. And I don't think I'd heard, or maybe I had. I forgot that like people. Did you feel like you were a target prior to that happening, or once that happening, you were a target?
No, I wasn't a target, and I probably wasn't a target if I had just calmed down and sat down. But the moment Brent said that to me, we also have to think about, I know what I did to Brent my last game, and he left because of me. I was it was Rob and I, we, signed his death warrant and sent him out of the game. So I'm already harboring that, mixed with knowing that he's playing a really good game. And now he's just said to me, do you want us to throw this comp and vote you out? And I already knew at some point he was going to take a stab at me. I just didn't know when. And I didn't think it was going to be right then. I don't think he could have if he wanted to right then. But in that moment, coupled with what I had just said when I just kind of popped off in my mouth and I was crying, I then felt like, not the greatest mix of things right there. So, and I do think he did need to go. I 100% believe him leaving probably helped me out in the game.
Well, you basically, maybe is assassinate the correct term, like you and your alliance are able to take him out at the very next tribal council during the Earn the Merge, right?
He was the losers.
Yeah.
The losers comp.
Yeah, and because that's one of the things I've also been impressed as well, is a lot of people have spoken very highly of Brent. He seems like he was very well connected, and had he entered the merge, I think it would have, like you said, it would have been a very different game, because he would have been very well insulated within a lot of people.
And the funny part is had Frank not gone, Brent would have made it further in the game, because I wouldn't have, none of that would have happened.
So what we're hearing is Austin's rogue votes had very giant ramifications in this game.
It did. Yeah, it 100% did. Now, I feel one of the people that I didn't know going into the game, I've met her. It was Lydia. She was very quiet. We just never really had a chance to talk. I freaking loved her. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. She's so funny. I really do. So I hated that she went out on that round. I felt so bad. I don't know, had nothing ever happened and we still went to tribal that night, I still think there was a possibility she would have ended up going, because I think I wouldn't have been able to. There were other people who had other people more than they had her in that moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that she just would have been taken out of the game regardless if we lost that.
I definitely, from we're talking to Lydia, it sounds like had she had more time to kind of recover from the shock of seeing Frank get voted out, she would have been able to make some magic happen. But just the tribal council just being so soon after that, she was just not mentally.
Correct.
It was just for her to kind of recover.
if I had it my way, obviously I would have wanted Taylor, Reynolds, myself, and Lydia. And I think we were leaning that way, and this is where my memory is not going to serve me well. I'm thinking that Taylor did not want to go vote Brent out, and that would have been an issue. And I also can't remember. It was Adam.
Yeah. So it's Todd and Carly vote Lydia. You and Reynolds vote Brent. Adam votes Lydia. Josh votes you. Taylor votes Brent. Brent votes you, and Lydia votes Brent. And so it's 4 votes Brent, nullified by Brent's idol. You play your idol for Reynolds, and Lydia ends up going out 3-2.
Yeah, I think if there would have been a little bit more time, and I don't even know if less chaos would have. I just think we needed more time. I think if that vote would have happened the next morning, because it was a late night vote. I think if it happened that next morning, maybe things would have been different. But that would have been, I would have loved for it been Taylor, myself, Reynolds, Lydia, vote Brent out. Brent having an idol, I don't know if we could have done it at all. And I had kind of suspected Brent had the idol because when that whatever that comp was where you sent people back, Brent got to go back. Nobody went back to our camp early. So Ame found the note first, and I can't remember, but somebody came and told me, hey, Ame's got the clue. Mm-hmm. So I run up to her and we open it together, and we knew because it was where we peed. So we knew exactly where the idol was, and we both took off running, and it was kind of like, whoever finds it, finds it. And I just happened to, she was right there. Like, it was up in the tree. She was here. And I just kind of went right around her and grabbed it. And I felt bad. But in that moment, we're skipping back and forth. But this is my mind. Yeah. So this is how I think.
We're doing a nonlinear account.
I didn't trust Ame enough to protect Frank, and I was worried if the idol was in her hands that Frank might have left. And I don't think I was wrong thinking that. I think that that definitely could have happened. So I didn't really want to get Ame out. I just didn't want Ame to get Frank out. So I wanted to make sure I could control that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the vote where Lydia goes home, you vote for Brent. Brent plays his idol. Let's say Brent has an idol, right? And so so who would you vote if you're not voting Brent, that tribal council?
Todd. I think, and that's all we should have done. We know that. We know that now. We knew that walking away. I probably knew it in the moment and didn't. Todd should have 100% who we should have voted, and we didn't. And I really didn't care. Taylor said that she had thought about it, but she thought I was so gung-ho on Brent. I really wasn't. It just was the moment and the time. I was open to whatever, but what I told them was, y'all go do whatever. Just, I'll write down whatever. But again, it's all happened so fast. I think things would have been drastically different. I do think Todd would have probably left.
Todd is a player that likely is never going to work with you and Reynolds.
Here's the thing. I'm going to back up to last season when, everybody who's in production will probably agree when you walk out of the game and you go back for production, the game never stopped. It never stops. You're still playing the game the whole time because you always in the back of your mind go, there might be a returning season. So last season, I was there and I was getting ready to leave, and Todd was there, and he was like, hey, I was getting ready to go somewhere and he wanted to ride with me. So I was like, cool. I was trying hell to find something that I had in common with him. Mm-hmm. We both found 90s country music that we could talk about. So, and I thought we left on a good note. So I was so surprised that he never, I didn't message him prior to the game. Once the cast was released, I was waiting to see if he messaged me. He never did. And so that kind of told me all I needed to know right there. But yeah, I don't know why, but we tried. Reynolds and I did both try multiple times. Mm-hmm. He was very dismissive of us, which I just don't respect in a game. Reynolds and I said, well, we make it to merge, which was the right after the Brent stuff. Well, let me go back. I guess we can talk about the losers thing first, and then we'll go to merge.
This is all non-linear, so whatever we can talk about.
But well, I'll just finish talking about Todd. So we're at merge. Actually, one of my favorite times, my favorite time in the game. Mm-hmm. And both times it's not been anything game related that my favorite moments are. But Reynolds and we never got to go back to camp. And it's the second vote. Mm-hmm. And they had already not talked to us about the first vote, but we ended up, becoming the easy vote. So they ended up and took out, I can't remember Josh. They took out Josh because Josh had gotten himself into trouble with Sharif. I can't remember what he was doing. So he's going to go with the Yellow Tribe or something. I can't remember. I didn't really know everything because nobody would talk to us. But we did find out it was Josh through Skylar and maybe Carlos, but I don't remember that. Probably Carlos, though. I'm sure Carlos told me something. And then that vote happened. We went and played a comp, and now it's the second vote, and we're at the little barn area. Mm-hmm. And Reynolds and I are just standing there. No one will talk to us. Not a soul. I mean, everybody is dispersed, and if we try to talk to anybody, they walk away. It was the weirdest feeling, but there's a clip, Storm standing in front of us, catching it all on camera, and we're just talking about how we hate everybody and they all suck, and we're just being so bitter about it, and I love it because that's just Reynolds and I being Reynolds and I just enjoy it. So, and that is actually the moment when the game turned for us because they had mistakenly left Austin out of that Josh vote, thinking Josh was really close and that brought Austin over us. So I don't remember what we were talking about originally, but.
So Austin gets left out of that vote. How does Skylar and Carly come to you?
So we knew even before that vote that those were going to be the ones that we were going to pull in. Mm-hmm. We just knew we had to wait till the right time. And basically that was whenever they decided it was going to be, because we didn't have any control at that moment. We knew we had people, plus we had Taylor. Like Taylor was never a question. So we knew that we had the ability to get numbers because I think it was going to be, we were going to have 5 at final 12 or something. Yeah. So we were really close. Well, what we didn't know was that they left Austin out of the vote. So Austin is actually the one that started it all. But ironically, right before that happened, Megan pulls me aside and Megan makes her move. Because I was like, people are going to make their move. They didn't vote us out. They have plans for us. And they did. I think both sides had plans for us. It was just which way we were going to go. And Megan came to me and she tells me, man, if I was Tony, which that made it really funny because she mentioned Tony because Tony wouldn't flip. Tony, Skylar, or Carly, I would be going to you guys right now. Like they're like obviously insinuating like they're obviously on the bottom, with us. And she wanted to vote out Skylar. So I'm saying, okay, whatever. But I wasn't going to vote Skylar out because I knew I had much more of a chance with her than Megan. Megan was going to, I was at the bottom of wherever I'm with Megan. So I have that conversation. No sooner do I walk across, Austin comes up to Reynolds and I standing so that he goes, we're about to have a lot of fun in this game or something along those lines. And I thought he was just messing with me. So I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, they left me out of the vote. And the excitement I felt in that moment when I realized what had just happened, I could hardly contain myself. And I have a hard time hiding my stuff anyway, so it was really difficult. But at that very moment, it was Austin, Skylar, because they were working really closely together, Carly, and then Carly also knew about me, Taylor, like she knows Taylor, Reynolds, Carlos. She knew we were all together. She never did really make it a big deal, I guess, because we were completely open to working with her. So I kind of considered her as close, in the game wise. We're not maybe as close on the outside of the game, but game wise, I felt like she was probably as close as they were to me, until later. But
yeah, you mentioned at 12 you needed 6. And I'm curious, like, could Josh have been part of that? Or like, because you were so iced out, you're just like, if it's Josh, not us, so be it.
So I think Josh was final 13. So Josh was already gone at that time because he had left.
So Taylor went out. Taylor went out at 13. Josh went out at 12. Then the showdown happens, and Adam goes out at 11.
Oh, so Taylor, that's right. Taylor, I don't think was in the game anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay. So.
Yeah. So Taylor. So you
left
merge,
after Josh.
So you merge. Taylor leaves the game, right? And Carlos casts that 1 vote for Skylar. The next morning, you have that counting immunity challenge. Josh goes home after that, and then you have the slingshot challenge. Then you're behind the barn, right? Scrambling.
And what was your question again? Oh, who was the?
Could Josh have been brought in? Like, could he have been part of like your group of 5 or 6?
So Josh and I had such a tumultuous game. I wanted to trust him. So in the very beginning, at the beginning of the game, we vote him out, and the I can't think of what the name of the twist was.
Shot in the dark.
Shot in the dark. He hit, and so that was great. Reynolds was able to make the. There's not many times I'm super completely blindsided in a game, and the fact that Reynolds did it is hilarious. But voting Nate, so that happens, and then Josh and I start to make. Oh, Frank was going to make a move with Josh, and I kind of was like, I don't think he's not going to trust us. Well, then Josh ends up coming on the tribe swap with me, and it was one of those nights that was really freezing, and we were one of the 2 people up, and I was like, hey, did Frank talk to you about the plan if we hadn't swapped? And he told me yes, and which was just kind of working with him, and I kind of threw it out there, and I was hoping that it would stick, but I really just didn't know. He could have done whatever he wanted. He didn't really have a reason to trust me. But I did like the kid. I liked the kid a lot. So I tried to keep him really close, and he did give us some information. He was telling us the truth different times. Unfortunately, we're so cynical, we don't believe it. So we just didn't know. We didn't really use it to our advantage because we just didn't know what to trust. So, and it was like that through the whole game. And now we've got to merge. And again, I just wasn't sure if I could trust him or not. He had made a comment, which just, I still don't understand to this day what that comment was about, but he knew, he was on the tribe with Taylor's night. He knew that Taylor and I were close, and we get to merge, and Taylor had accidentally talked about, she thought that Todd had seen the clue that Sharif had gotten in the merge feast. Yeah. And so she didn't she thought he already knew. And then Sharif gets upset about it. And then I asked something about Josh, and he throws out Taylor's name to me. I can't remember what it was, but whatever it was, it left the feeling in my stomach that he definitely was not interested in trusting Taylor, which was why would you even tell me that? So it just didn't make a lot of sense. And I still I don't know what he meant by that. I always forgot to ask him. So I don't know if he was really, I don't know. So I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I have no idea if Josh and I would have ever worked out. I definitely was open to it, but honestly, probably not for very much longer.
Taylor leaving at the start of the merge, do you feel like her exiting the game, was that helpful at all? Because it kind of reduced the threat of the 3 of you, or was it you really needed Taylor and her leaving was just made things harder?
Well, it was a little of both. We definitely needed her there, and I wanted to play with her. I love Taylor, and us to be able to play a game together would have been awesome. I think Taylor would have had enough of my ass. So I don't know if she would have handled me as well as Reynolds did. So there would have been that. I'm a lot in games, and you're either gonna love me or hate me. I'm kind of polarizing. I'm not just somebody that you don't really have an opinion on. But I'm super loyal, so I guess if you're with me, you're with me. I mean, I'll use my idol on you.
You found 2 idols and never played a single one for yourself. That's that.
I won't, and I don't regret either one of those. I mean, the way I see it is, if I didn't have the numbers moving forward, my game was shot anyways.
Yeah.
So I would rather use it and keep my numbers and give myself a chance of going further in the game than just getting one more placement. I don't care if I'm 5th or 6th. They're about the same to me. So I don't regret it. I know other people do not play like I play. I gamble a lot in my games. I'm actually one of the few who loves to throw competitions to be able to control what happens on the other side. Unfortunately, I can't find other people that want to do that. I asked Reynolds, I begged him all the time. Can we please, when I was scared that Carlos or Frank were in trouble over there, all I wanted to do was throw comps because I knew we could control who went home, and he wouldn't do it. And I learned not to push it too hard because I'll get myself in trouble doing that too. So when Reynolds wanted to, because he knows I'm down to throw a comp every single time that we can throw one. You don't even have to ask. The answer is yes. So when the winners, losers, I don't remember what that was called.
In the merge.
We had, how many people? Because it was just, we only needed 4. I don't know what it was, but we only needed
7 winners, 7 losers. Right. And so.
Oh, that's right. There were 7 losers, and we already had 4. So all we knew we had to do with Carlos, myself, Taylor, and Reynolds was throw it. And we go into the losers, and we can take out whoever we want, and we know for sure all of us make merge. Because I'm not a strong comp person. So there was a good possibility I was going to end up on the losers tribe anyways. So I was super excited that I got to at least do that. Throw that one comp.
And so what's interesting about, so I'm going to back up a bit. So you didn't know that Reynolds had cast his vote for Nate when that first tribal council where Josh hits the shot in the dark.
Nope, I did not.
And because Nate had gone up to Reynolds and asked him to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that happened right towards either as they were walking up there, or it wasn't. I don't think it was early on. I haven't actually asked him that. That's just my impression. And
so in your perfect world, what name should Reynolds have written down instead of Nate, or was Nate the name?
No, Nate was the name.
How come?
100%. So I would have never trusted Nate in the game. Nate, I think you're a great guy. I love you, but I never, and I think he completely agrees with that. I had given him several different opportunities. We play minis, every year. And last year in particular, I was playing in a mini, and he'd been drinking, and I walked up to him because I was in trouble, and I was not even all the way to him yet. I was still a little bit away from him, and I was walking towards him, and he knew what I was coming to ask if he was gonna save me, and he just kind of went, "You don't even need to talk to me." And I was like, duly noted. And the next morning he kind of apologized to me, but that was firmly planted back there, and I was never going to trust him. That was one of maybe 1 or 2 other things. Outside of the game, cool, but inside of the game, I would never trust Nate.
I was looking back to the cast list. I don't think you worked with a single person from Calipin's Revenge this season.
No. I may have worked with Clark, though. Clark would have been the highest on the list.
True. But I was thinking, Nate went home. Granted, you didn't write his name down, but like you said, he was the person you're like, good riddance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt.
You vote up Prince. You vote up Adam. I imagine if you could have, you voted out Tony too.
I would have, but I was open to working with Adam. Adam had showed me that he was not. Adam had lied to me multiple times in the game, and can't for the life of me remember what it was, but it was more than one time. Reynolds and I had tried to work with him a couple of different times. He lied to us every single time. And it got to the point where you lie to me once or twice, cool, but like he kept lying to us. So it's like, I don't, you kind of lost it. So I was definitely open to working with him, but I wasn't gonna. You already lied to me. So, and Tony didn't. I won't say that Tony did do some lying in the game for sure, but Tony in the beginning when Austin, we were in the barn and Austin, Reynolds, myself, Skylar, Carly, we were trying to get him to vote. I can't remember who. Maybe it was Adam, but I don't think so. I don't know. We're trying to get him to vote with us, and he told us he wasn't going to do it. And I kind of knew in that moment, like, you don't tell a whole group of people you're not going to do it and then plan to go work with them later on. Because it wasn't like it was just that one person he didn't want to vote out. He just didn't want to flip on Megan, Sharif, and I don't know. I don't know the exact dynamics over there. I know that Tony was somewhere on the bottom because of what Megan had told me, but that's really all that I just knew. I wasn't with them, and it was relaxing to know there was a line. I like that. Put a line somewhere so I know where you are and I know where I'm at, and I don't know. It's easier to play a game that way, in my opinion.
From talking with Tony, had things gone down differently at that final 7, maybe there's a world where the two of you do work with each other at that point.
Final 7, that's when Reynolds left or before Reynolds? I'm 7th, right?
You're
so
7th.
That was right when Reynolds left.
So Reynolds goes out. You're upset. You and Tony have a small showdown.
Yes.
And it sounds like had Tony perhaps approached you later, things may have happened differently.
So here's when he should have done it 1 round earlier is what he should have done. If you really wanted to make that move, don't split Reynolds and I apart when you're splitting us apart, because I'm not playing this game for $1 million.
Yeah.
We are getting to the end of day 7. My numbers have now dwindled. Carlos has just voted Reynolds out. I'm not really sure where Carlos's loyalties lie. Again, I didn't think he was going to take me out, but I also knew I didn't have a single other number in that game. So now what I'm looking at is staying the night out there to, okay, either they're going to drag me and I still don't make it to the end because they're not going to let me in final 3. It's not going to happen. And I'm not a good competitor. So me having a chance at winning is very slim to none. And then, so I'm looking at staying another night at best and probably going home 5th. So now I've just spent my last night outside again, and I just go home first thing in the morning. Or I can go home tonight, maybe place 1 less, go inside the house and have a good time and be rested for a finale. And that was more important to me. At that time, when I realized I'm not getting to the end, that's it, I wanted out. And I was ready to chuck and roll as hard and fast as I could right to the jury house. And I don't regret it. I had a great time that night. I'm super glad it happened the way that it happened. But if Tony wanted to do that, he should have done it 1 round earlier. And I see why he thought that might work, take Reynolds from me and then try to kind of squeeze in there. But for what Tony had done to me the whole game, I was never going to be willing. And as far as him yelling, that fight or whatever you want to call it, I'm not going to call it a fight because I didn't fight back with him. At that moment in time, again, it was more important for me to get out of the house instead of being drugged and stayed out there all night just to go home first thing in the morning. So he starts yelling at me thinking that he deserves some sort of response. I don't know. At tribal council, he had mentioned, when your child's throwing a tantrum, you have to show them how they're behaving, except I wasn't throwing a tantrum. I literally didn't want to talk to anybody. So not really sure why he thought that's what he was seeing. Come off more, and also Todd, I'm just going to be honest, at least I've heard that Tony did say he regretted it. Todd, you came in here saying that he must be a great parent because of the way he acted. And it just really seemed like you're one of those older white guys that think women need to, I owed him something. I didn't owe you guys anything. I mean, you didn't even talk to me. So I'm not really sure where that came from. But I didn't know them shit. So.
Well, definitely a key moment is that Reynolds vote, right? And with Carlos flipping, because there's all this discussion of rock draws. So let's say Carlos doesn't flip. You have a rock draw. So I think you would be one of the people drawing rocks at this point, I think, right?
I would have gone to rocks. We didn't ever draw rocks.
Yeah, so let's see. So because vote was Reagan and Reynolds and Megan would have been immune. Who had immunity that round? Let me check. This is the final 8. Carlos had immunity. And so you, Carly, Austin, and Todd would have been drawing rocks, and Tony maybe as well. Of the 5, who would you like to see? Who would you want to see go home with the rock draw? Tony, Carly, Todd, Austin, yourself.
Probably Todd. Todd or actually in that very moment, I would have probably angrily said Carly, even though it would have been an incorrect move, because I knew the moment that Carly didn't use her idol, that I knew before then that she had already switched and started working with Austin. But when she didn't use her idol, it was kind of like a, let me show you I'm not with you type of thing. And I just used my idol to save her butt the time before. And I was with her. I was with her. I was completely fine going to like final 3 with her, me, Reynolds, her, or me, Reynolds, Carlos, or if I couldn't been there, those 3, any of that 4, I was completely fine with. And it was going to work its way out. I mean, we weren't all going to make it to final 4. If we were, I'm also the kind of person that I would have been fine getting 4th. I'm not playing for $1 million, and I keep telling people that I play with my friends for my friends, and I don't know. And I didn't make it a secret that I played that way either. So to me, it seemed like it was kind of a benefit to take me. I don't handle. If you were me, would you want to sit in front of a jury? No, I don't handle it well. And mixed with the fact that I don't remember anything, it's awful. What were we talking about?
You mentioned at the very start that you played 2 items for 2 different people and you had no regrets for that. But we were just talking about Carly is not repaying the favor. Like you showed her ultimate loyalty. She's not showing you back. So there's still no regrets for that?
In the moment when I did what I did, it was the right move. And Carly did not get to the end. So I feel that my move was right and her move was wrong. I mean, because I do think she may have just made 4th if she had went to us, but Reynolds and I both, I think that Reynolds would have wanted to take Carly over Carlos. And so I think had she done that, and also I would have been happier because Carly and I we have the same friends and we know the same people. So I would have just liked to have seen one of us at the end versus who was in the end, but that's,
Do you think you would have done better against Carly or Carlos at the very end?
I think I would have.
Or who do you think, who would you have had a better chance sitting up against then?
Oh. So if you would have asked me in the game, I would have for sure thought I was hated and that anybody sitting next to me, and I don't think I was that well liked. Anybody sitting next to me didn't, stood a better chance than me. That might have still been true, but if I wasn't sitting next to Reynolds, I still think I probably wouldn't have won, but I don't think it would have been I think the votes might have been more evenly dispersed. I think it could have been anybody's game.
Do you think Reynolds on the jury would have been a real help for you if you were at the very end?
So, because we didn't feel like we were that well, loved of our season, we were actually concerned about voicing our opinion on the jury roundtable. I eventually did because I was absolutely super concerned that Austin wasn't going to win, and he played the better game. If you look at it, I mean, he was able to bob and weave that whole game. I don't think there's really anybody in the game that can say they didn't work with him and didn't trust him at some point in time. He was an absolutely deserving winner, and I became concerned that he might not win. And so I did speak up a little bit, but we were actually worried that the more we spoke up, they would actually go the opposite of what we wanted. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I mean, I think Reynolds would have definitely helped me in the game because they would have already known he was going to vote me. So he didn't really have to hide that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much pull we really had with people. Mm-hmm. They were a little bitter.
So Carly was very, so did you find Carly's idol with her, or was she just very open with you that she had found it?
Carly told me that, I think Carly was still with me. I mean, up until that night, was it the next night? When
yeah,
up until really right before that vote, I think she was probably still with us. I guess it was the next morning is when I don't remember that night going into the morning.
Yeah, but
she told me go on ahead and act like you're looking for the idol so that they'll run behind you, because she had a clue. I didn't know she had a clue or the idol or something. I know where it is or something is what she told me. So I did know that something was up with it. So yeah, I mean, I knew she had the idol. She did tell me after that. Also, when you get down that many people, hiding an idol is really hard. People are going to see you. We also this is not our first season, so we're watching production. I play as much of my game with the people as I do watching production and what they're doing. So if everybody's searching for an idol and then somebody goes and does a confessional, odds are they probably have an idol. So, it's just really hard. And also, if you're a female out there and you have like really tight clothes on, it's really hard to hide the darn thing. Mm-hmm. Megan, you could see it in her shorts when she found it. So, I don't know. We did have a good game with idols, though. We all had the idols except for Megan, and we never did not know where the idol was. Reynolds and I.
I mean, between you and Reynolds, you controlled a majority of the idols in the game.
Yeah, he had a great autoplay. I don't regret mine, again, just because I need numbers. If I can't get numbers, I'm not playing for one better placement. But Reynolds had a great autoplay. Absolutely great. I think Reynolds had a better game than myself, for sure. He made better moves. Mine were just louder. But we were both loud. We were so ridiculous. Like, to be able to play... So when you go and play an LRG, you usually are very stealthy. You're not, you don't say what you think in front of people. You're not like hugging up on somebody, making it obvious. When they decided to alienate Reynolds, oh Lord, that was the wrong thing. We were like holding hands, giving each other kisses on the cheeks, like just playing it up. I love you. We were playing it up so much. And playing a game with a friend who you love like that and being able to be so out and just forward and just, give a shit is the far superior way to play. It is so much fun. And I know I'll probably never get to do it again. So I'm really lucky that I got to play the game that way. I don't regret it at all.
So I want to talk a little bit about the isolation. When did that start? Was that happening on the swap drive, or was that just like hit you at the merge, or was it like after,
it was merge.
Like immediate?
It was merge. It was pretty much immediately merged. I think I don't think it happened as much. No, it didn't happen as much with Taylor, if I remember correctly. I think it's just because Reynolds and I were seen together, and I don't know why Taylor wasn't seen with us. I guess maybe people didn't know that we were close. I'm not really sure. Taylor also played a stealthier game, and we're just like Reynolds and I went into the game going, because we know how each other are. Like, we'll be hanging out and somebody will say something dumb and we won't even be thinking about it from across the room. We're going to look at each other because we just know we're thinking the same thing. And we were like, when we go into the game, we're not going to sit next to each other. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. Well, I would just be looking around like the first or second day of camp, and I'd just be sitting next to Reynolds. I wasn't trying to. I was trying to stay away from him, and we just naturally did it. We didn't even think about it. It just happened. So I guess people just paid attention, and, after so long, we just stopped caring because people knew. So it was fun.
I mean, I feel like definitely one of the challenges, you walk into that merge, and there is like, I guess you have 4 of the 7 of your original tribe, but it's you and Reynolds, Josh, who's quickly going to be gunned out of the game, and Austin, who's kind of like weaving between alliances. So you don't really. I feel like if you're relying on your original tribe, there's not really much left at that point.
Now, say that. What was your question again?
It felt like maybe one of the reasons is you don't have your original tribe kind of in the merge with you. It's you and Reynolds and kind of.
Oh. Yeah, and Austin was, so I come over to merge, and another thing that I think, part of the other reason I think we felt alienated, or probably we were, is I heard, I can't remember who told me, Carlos told me that he's like, I hate it because I've been having to hear Skylar and Austin talk crap about you. Mm-hmm. So I go into the merge already knowing that they've already been talking about me, and my name's already been happening in the merge, and I haven't even met some of these people really. So yeah, it was rough, and there was a little bit with Josh, and like I said, Josh and I couldn't really trust him. I wanted to trust him, and maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. I still to this day don't know, and I don't even know if he knows. I think he was just doing whatever felt right in the moment. Oh God, I forgot what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm so tired.
No, you've had a long day. I want to kind of go back to the final 9 or final 8, right? Sharif has just been voted out, right? He's been blindsided from your idol play on Carly, and you mentioned that things change from that's like the end of night 6 to day 7, where it becomes that final 8 tie vote. Right. Mm-hmm. You kind of said you felt like you lost Carly and Austin. Like, did you see it happen? Did you feel it happen? What was that like?
So what I didn't realize, and again, a mistake made by me, but honestly, I'm almost going to say not even so much of a mistake by me. It was just a really good perception of Austin. So we are trying to get Austin to vote. I guess it was to get votes Sharif out, and Austin's concern was that Sharif had the idol. Now, Reynolds and I already knew where the idol was. Carly also did too. Now, when I knew Carlos had the idol well before merge, and Taylor said that Tony had told everybody. So for one, I thought pretty much everybody in the game already knew Carlos had the idol. So I didn't think it was a secret. Then we realized that Austin doesn't know, and so we're like kind of reluctantly telling him like Carlos has the idol, like it's fine, and we just kind of like say it really quick. It's during tribal. Carlos has got it. It's fine. Just vote that way. He can't do it. Well, all of a sudden Austin goes, they're closer than I thought they were because they knew about the idol and I didn't know about it. Was it really that way? I don't know. Carlos wanted to idol Austin out that round instead of Sharif, and we didn't. I guess it was probably a mistake looking back on the fact that he won the game, but I trusted him at that point. But I don't know. You can't say anything Austin did was the wrong move, so I guess that was the right move. He made it to the end.
Well, so looking at that final 9 vote, so the opposing alliance, right? You have so I think
Megan Todd
both won immunity that round, All right. So yeah. So
I remember we were kind of upset that the double immunity went that long, because I do think that would have been different. I think we would have taken one of the two of them that.
Yeah, because Meg and Todd are immune. You're not voting Carlos out. That
No.
leaves you Sharif and Tony. Is there any world where you vote out Tony at that point?
I think we played with it. But we knew where the idol was. We figure let's swing big and do what we can, because this may be our only option, because with players like Sharif, you don't get 2 or 3 times. A lot of times you get that one time. And, when talking to Sharif, he was going, I was just hoping that it was such an obvious move you weren't going to make it. And, and that's when I lost Austin, though. So maybe it was better for us to go with Tony at that point, looking back on it. But I would have never in a million years thought that me saying that I knew, that we knew Carlos had the idol, he was going to take that to mean that we were super close. Now, and I will even say, yes, I'm not going to do anything with Carlos, but I wouldn't really consider Carlos and I super close. We weren't working together. Yep. We were not going to vote each other. We were not going to actively, try to get other people to vote each other. But beyond that, there were so many things going on in his game I didn't know, because he wouldn't talk to me. I would try anything, come over here and talk. It's a game. It's okay if you're seen talking to me for a minute. And he was the worst one in the game. I have a little bit of hearing loss. So it is already at my detriment that I cannot hear people in the game. And it's the further the game goes, the more people whisper, and just the freaking harder it is for me. And Carlos was the worst. He has got a little, his accent on top of him just mumbling and whispering so low. And I would have to ask him 3 or 4 times. And there'd be a couple of times I'd be like, I have no idea what you said. I'm going to assume it means, blah, blah, and walk away, because we couldn't be talking anymore. And I never understood what you said. But I know that I wasn't the only one, because Sharif said that about him too. So, yeah, I'm not saying I would have voted out Carlos, but you could have separated Carlos and I would have taken it easier than separating Reynolds and I at that point, just because Carlos and I weren't playing the same game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the other thing that's fascinating about Sharif leaving is how Austin goes and kind of assumes that position in the alliance with Megan and Todd when Sharif is out. Yeah,
he did. And it was a good move. Got him the win. I think he definitely would have he had an easier time probably winning against Megan and definitely Todd, over if he was sitting next to Carly, Reynolds, maybe me. I think he would have beat me no matter what. But it was impressive. He just, and not only that, it actually, Frank pointed it out last weekend somewhere. I don't know. I was talking to him at some point, and he said, he actually played the game. He took me out of the game and then played with the people I wanted to play with. He did. And I was like, damn, that is impressive. And then he took us out of the game and played with the rest and just integrated right in with them. Which I was super sad about, but I knew when I lost him, it was that night. So Austin and I had been on the same tribe, the first tribe and the merge, and he was like a heat box. He was so warm. And so I slept right next to him. And even though he snored like a freight train, I guess that didn't bother me because I was so cold. So that night he did not come lay down. And I always watch where people are sitting at tribal, and where they're sleeping tells a lot. And when he did not come and lay down in the tarp with all of us, I knew that was not a good sign. And actually, Carly mentioned it to me. And so I think maybe he either Carly, Reynolds and I told Carly to go make a final 2 deal with Austin so that Austin would feel more comfortable with us. And I think she did it, but she actually did it without Reynolds and I being anywhere in the final 4 with her. Which, I see it. It just, I think we just had her back more than she switched over to another tribe that, she kind of had to win her way to the end at that point because they weren't going to even entertain where we would have.
I mean, is there a way that you could have gone, if you could have kept Carly with you all, to maybe even have played that alliance at that final 8 vote?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what she was thinking other than just the fact that she wouldn't want to go with me, Reynolds, Carlos. Like, we were all connected, maybe closer than she was. Mm-hmm. But outside the game, yes. Inside the game, no. Like, I just used your idol on you, or my idol on you. Like, I'm planning on riding to the end with you, girl. Like, and I don't work with females, and I don't work with females for that reason right there, because they're always going to do me dirty. And like, it kind of sucked because I was like, man, that's it. Like, besides Taylor's probably one of the few girls that I would ever give a pass to like that in life, just because we're just friends. Like, I see her really close. And so it's kind of unique for me to have a girl friendship like that, where I really, I could even fight with her and, I'd get over it and be fine. But in games, typically anytime I've tried to work with a girl, that shit right there happens. And I was so proud of myself. I was like, look at me, I'm working with a girl. This is great. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be one of those typical girls that hates all the girls and wants them all out. Like, I'm going to do it. And then, so, I mean, I probably won't, do that again. I've tried it a couple times in orgs. It never works. I don't know. I guess it's just not meant to happen for me.
So you mentioned at the very start, that when you're bored, you do stuff. And look at the merge is a pretty packed, 2.5 day experience. Were you ever bored during the merge portion of this game?
No. Mm-mm. No, there was maybe 1 hour where we felt like it was taking too long. We were just ready to get on with it. But no, I actually wish we could have redid the calendar a little bit and shifted it so it wasn't so quick at the end, because I do think it would literally change the game. I don't think the game would have gone the same.
Which votes do you wish you had more time with?
I can't remember which ones I had a short time with.
Because I guess one thing that's very interesting about your pre-merge is you don't go to a lot of tribal councils.
Really didn't. 2?
Yeah, 3 if you count that Earn the Merge Loser Tribal Council as a pre-merge. But so you have the Nate vote, you have the Lydia vote, and you have the Brent vote. Right, so you have 1 day 3, 1 day 4, and 1 day 5.
Yeah, it was a slow game. It was fun. I really enjoyed my first tribe a lot. I didn't have anybody on there I didn't like. So it was just kind of fun to go camping with them, I guess, and hang out. And that's kind of what it felt like. But I was also, I waited 4 years, so you're just itching to play. Mm-hmm. And then I go to my second tribe and we keep winning again. And I just got really tired and bored and upset, and just all of it came to a head. And then as I'm hoping that, I mean, it's glaringly obvious that I have the idol at that time. I'm just so tired. I can't keep it up. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to sit there and not talk, and people just kept talking to me. And I was like, I can't keep it up. I'm just exhausted at this point. I don't even think I slept that night either. I didn't know. Actually, the first time I slept was when I got to lay down next to Carlos at merge. That was the first night I finally was because he's kind of home to me, I've known him for so long. It's your family comes home. Reynolds and I have been drowning for days, even though we really weren't, but it felt like we were. And so I don't know, I was just able to fall asleep. So I was a mess.
I'd like to talk a little bit more about your original tribe. So you start on that blue Ekoni tribe. What was the dynamic of that tribe like?
It was good. The only crazy thing we had happen was when Ame went to stick the stick in the fire and it scared Nate. And I've never heard somebody yell and panic like that. Like, it was sheer terror. And it's completely dark out there except for the fire. I was not asleep. Unlike Austin, who literally could fall asleep in 3 seconds. It was crazy. And he tried to wake up. He'd wake up in the morning. He goes, I was like, yeah, I didn't sleep any last night. He goes, me neither. And I was like, yeah, you did. You slept.
Let it be known, unprompted. I have not asked any of the. I generally don't ask people about Austin snoring. It is a story of the season.
He messaged me. He's like, don't tell him about my snoring. And I was like, oh, I'm talking about it now. I probably wouldn't have even remembered if he hadn't messaged me. But
yeah, so I guess one of the things I'm curious about the dynamic is like it's a very interesting group of people to see in this, right? So the way I've kind of heard described is it's kind of like you, Reynolds, and Frank are a contingent maybe, and then you kind of have Austin, May, and maybe Nate, and then Josh is a little bit of the odd man out. Would you say there's any accuracy to that?
So I think if we had lost, I think it would have actually been different in the beginning. How I actually felt it was going, because Reynolds and Frank were not close in the very beginning. Reynolds and Frank were starting to get comfortable with each other, but in the very beginning, I think it was kind of a natural where you had Ame, Austin, Reynolds, and myself, who they were trying to form something with, which I was fine with, but I wasn't going to let anything happen to Frank. And Reynolds knew that. Ame and Austin, I don't know if they knew it in the very beginning, but it kind of became glaringly obvious pretty quickly. But they tried to do, we actually had an alliance, I think. I don't know how real it was. And then Austin was talking to Frank, and I was talking to Frank. I don't remember how Austin and I ended up talking, but I was like, hey, like, we kind of could do whatever we wanted over here. And he actually made a final 2 with me, which he says he doesn't remember. Frank made the final 2 with him, and Frank was telling me about it. And I was like, that's funny because he made a final 2 with me. Like, we were like going over the day's events, and I was like, he made fun with me. And
clearly, the problem is you didn't give him a receipts like Frank gave him.
I didn't, which, I mean, he voted Frank out, so he also voted me out. So I guess it doesn't really matter. But in the very beginning, I think that Frank and Reynolds, I don't know how trusting they would be, but they definitely, I think, were getting closer, and which was what I wanted. And it was like, I knew it would be a really good thing if I could get them on the same page. He went out before we were probably able to do much. But I think if Frank would have made it to merge, I think it would have been a completely different game. It would have been super entertaining.
So when did Josh start becoming the name people are rallying around as that first boot from your tribe?
Sharif knows more about this than I do. So that morning, it's like, I guess 4 a.m. It's still dark out. Mm-hmm. And I went over, talked to Josh, and Sharif was like awake, and he kind of signals to us to like go to the trees.
All right, backing up. This is for your original tribe, not the merged tribe.
Oh, wait, what?
Like when did Josh become the name you're gonna vote out from your first tribe?
I think he was always going to be the name. Because while Nate would have probably been my first choice, I also didn't really know Josh. And Ame, Reynolds, myself, we are there every year. Austin has been there, and Ame and Austin, I think, knew each other from previous seasons as well. And then, I know Frank, and Ame knows Frank, Reynolds knows Frank. So we all knew each other. Mm-hmm. None of us really knew Josh that well. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of just that easy out where he just kind of caught on the wrong tribe. Mm-hmm. And that's really all it was. If there had been a different group of people, it may not have come out the same way. He was just the one that was least connected.
Mm-hmm. Looking at the cast as a whole, is there anyone else you wish you had been on the starting tribe with?
Probably Sharif, actually.
Really?
Yeah. So before the game, Frank told me, hey, I'm really interested in working with Sharif.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know him, but I knew he's friends with Stan. I remembered him. We didn't really get a chance to talk the first season, but I was like, okay, cool. I'm open to it. And I was hoping that there would be something that would come of that. So yeah, I was actually super bummed when it didn't, because I was really looking forward. I thought, because Frank told me he was going to talk to Sharif about me if we were never on the same tribe. And so I kind of thought when I went to merge, that might be a natural thing that happened. And Sharif actually tried to make something happen. And he pulled me and Josh aside, like 4 a.m. We were talking, and he didn't say a name yet, but he was kind of, laying the groundwork for something to happen. And then he never spoke to me again. Never. He never talked to me. Like, you'd see him, there'd be eye contact, and he would go the other direction. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And it was Josh. I don't know. Whatever it was, he picked up on the fact that Josh was not going to work with him, I guess. I don't know. I was left out of so much right there. I don't know what all happened. But the crazy thing is I heard very, very early on from Skylar that it was going to be Josh. Like 7, like say if that happened at 4 a.m, at like 7 o'clock, I heard it was going to be Josh. And then it was still Josh at the time of the vote, but so many other things happened in between there, and so many other conversations happened, but it still ended up being the same exact thing. So I don't know if anything really did happen, or, a bunch of people just creating drama that didn't need to be there. I don't know. I do it sometimes. So
I love the fact that you're mentioning, like, Sharif is a person I want to work with. That has been, I think, uttered by almost every single person I've talked to.
Really?
I think Sharif is like the number one courted player of this season, where everyone kind of came in looking and saying, that's a person I want to work with.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed, and it wasn't. It was simply because of that Frank connection. Like, Frank had told him I had an idol. Like, I thought that, my hope and prayer was Reynolds, myself, Taylor, with maybe Carly, and then on the other tribe you'd have Sharif, Frank, Carlos. I think that was it. I might be leaving somebody out. And then we would all just come together. And it would have been beautiful. But, I don't know. I don't know why Sharif decided to go a different route. The other thing, and I think this was a mistake on Carlos's part, is Carlos wanted to keep us apart. Carlos did not come to Sharif about how close we were. Sharif didn't know. But Sharif and Carlos were like each other's number ones. So it would have made perfect sense for Carlos to be like, hey, by the way, like, let's do this, because he had already had Frank in his ear. But also that clue happened with Taylor, which kind of, like, I think maybe caused a riff a little bit. I don't know. But Taylor was gone, so it really shouldn't have mattered. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why things went down the way they did.
That was one of the things Sharif also mentioned yesterday. Like, had he known that you and Carlos were way closer than expected, that might have changed things for him. That's what he just mentioned. He just had no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why Carlos kept that a secret. Maybe it's something that I should have just taken upon myself to do. But in a moment like that, it's like, I trust Carlos to know what's best in that scenario. So if Carlos is telling me, don't do this, I'm figuring, he knows better than I do. Maybe he doesn't trust Sharif like that. I don't know. He did. He ended up doing it. So I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know why.
I also think
he voted Reynolds, but we may never know.
I also think the fact that, Megan is in the game, and Megan was such a staunch ally of Sharif last year, and her back with him on that tribe, that was much easier for him to go with Megan and Todd than it was the jump with Carlos's allies.
Yeah, and that may have very well been what Carlos was thinking too, is if they see just how big we are, I might lose Sharif and then they're going to turn on me. And Carlos was playing the middle. He was playing it well. Actually, I don't know if we would consider his game was really the middle, because it was almost like he was more playing with them and then just giving us a little information. He really wasn't playing with us.
Mm-hmm.
It was really just, here's a little information. And it wasn't everything we needed to know. He would say stuff. It was a lot to do with that Sharif vote. I can't remember. He would tell me something, and I'd be like, well, Carlos, if you had told me all of that, I wouldn't have done that. And I think it was more about, maybe it was about the Sharif vote. I actually didn't even know that like that was his closest person. I knew they were close, but I didn't know he was so close to Sharif that he trusted him like that. If he really did, I wouldn't have taken Sharif out over Tony. Mm-hmm. But again, we had to go with what we knew, and Carlos was not giving us very much information. Mm-hmm. He did have a, did Carlos tell you about the code he had? Yeah, the hat code?
Maybe, but tell me about it again.
So he knew that we couldn't be seen talking a lot, which we couldn't. Now I think we could have talked a little bit more than we did, but he knew that Reynolds and I had idols, and he said, if my hat is forward, the vote is Amber. If my hat's backward, the vote is Reynolds. If my hat's off, y'all are safe. Mm-hmm. So we could always look for his hat to know if, something changed last minute and we needed to be worried. Mm-hmm. Which I think is really awesome. I think that I liked it, but I just wish we could have talked a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And him not voting Reynolds, but it's fine.
Well, so at that Reynolds vote, it's really like, I feel like he was stuck in like, how much is Tony going to flip? I think that was the deciding question Carlos faced. Like, is Tony going to flip like he said? If so, like, I need to flip to the Force Rocks, I guess.
But why? Why Force Rocks? If we didn't need to Force Rocks, why? If Tony voted Reynolds and he didn't, Reynolds didn't go. If Tony didn't vote Reynolds, Reynolds didn't go. Literally, if he didn't write down Reynolds' name, Reynolds didn't go.
Yeah.
It was that simple. So, who was the other vote? Was the other vote Megan? Austin. No, Austin.
Yeah, Austin had fully flipped by that tribal council.
Okay. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He just told me because he wanted it to go to Rocks, but I can't make it make sense. Sorry, Carlos. I told you this a million times. It's fine. Because that was it. The moment that happened, the game was over for all three of us. Mm-hmm. I also wonder if Carlos thought there was more that we could do, because he came to me and he was like, we need to link up with Tony and Todd, I think was his plan. And I was like, that's never going to happen. And it wouldn't have happened. I mean, maybe we could have gotten Tony, but again, all I'm doing is looking at staying the night out here and probably going tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. What was that? So regards the aftermath of the Reynolds vote, I imagine at that point, Carlos is talking to a lot now.
Yeah, actually, that's my second favorite moment in the game is right after Reynolds leaves. I'm sitting back of the barn, and it's just Carlos and I just talking about the game. It was just, I don't know. I was upset. I was crying a little bit. But it was also the first time in the game that Carlos and I had actually talked game. Like, we were just out in the open actually talking game. And I didn't have to hide any of it. And he wasn't telling me to go away or, be quiet or whatever he was telling me to do. So it was, it sucked, but I guess it was just like, I don't know, a part of the game that I hadn't played up until that point.
Because one thing I appreciate about that Final 7 vote is you and Carlos throw everything against the wall. Like, you go through your thoughts, and then he plays his idol, and like.
And had that worked, I would have come back guns blazing. Like, I wouldn't have been, okay, let's try. Like, there's a chance. It's just, I had lucky girl syndrome in that game a lot. I had a lot of things go my way. I mean, the second idol first off, we end up back at our camp, which I just had a home field advantage right there to try to find that idol. I found the first idol, and I spent so much time looking for idols that first time. There was a specific tree that I know the idol should be here. Like, I was like, why didn't they put the idol here? This is so easy. They should have done it. Mm-hmm. So as soon as they said there was an idol, I don't know why or what told me, I got up and bolted directly to that tree, and there it was. I found it in under 30 seconds. Like, it was the first, I ran directly there. And I knew when I took off running, I heard Trevor take off running behind me. And I was like, I know I've got this. I know he's following me because I'm going to it. And it was right there. And that was actually one idol that people didn't really see me get. And really, I think only a couple people knew about that idol.
Talk to me about your first idol. Like, when in the game did you find it?
Directly after that comp. So when Adam came over to our camp, I found it right then when he was
May, right?
there. Huh?
With May?
With what?
With Alme?
Yeah. I mean, within 5 minutes probably of being back at camp. As soon as Alme and I both saw the clue, we knew exactly where it was.
How much had you been hunting for the idol before then?
A lot, because that was the second day, maybe like midday, if I remember correctly. I swear they had to have hit it out. I know we looked around that tree multiple times. It was kind of up in there. Maybe we just never looked all the way up in the tree, but we looked a bunch right there. There was this dead tree, and it was kind of like up in the dead part of the tree, kind of broken open. But I looked a lot. That's one thing actually I found out I'm good at in games is finding stuff, because I found the 2 idols, and then in BB Hogwarts last season, or the last weekend, whenever it was, I don't know. There was a competition where like the whole room was filled with stuff, and then there's like a find the lottery ticket, and it was 2 rounds. I won that, and then I found like a frog, which was sort of like an idol, just not as much. Like, I found a bunch of shit in that game too. I think I found something else. So I guess I can find stuff in the game. That's a huge thing to be able to do, because I could barely find myself in a game, to be honest. Yeah, apparently. I don't know. I guess I'm glad I'm good at something, because I've never been good at any like competition type thing. I don't know if you consider that a competition, but it's something.
So one of my favorite stories about you in the game is that Josh plays a shot in the dark, and you all are walking back to camp after that tribal council, and Josh just books it, and you, I think, turn over and says he's gonna hide the machete or something. So you race to beat him back at camp, right?
The rice. I went for the rice. Yeah, I did. And I went right past him. Like, he was right there, and I ran right past him and picked the rice up. I don't know if anybody's talked about this or not, but I told Don, my husband, for those of you who don't know, which probably anybody watching does know who Don is, but I told him, I said, I was too quiet my first season. I was uncomfortable. I just wasn't myself. I never was myself. I said, if I know that I'm going out, I'm going to be a bitch. I'm going to cause problems. And that's exactly what I did. I was really upset, and I was like, I'm going to go next. I'm going to I wanted to make sure I went next no matter what. And 2, I didn't want them to have a nice night. Like, they voted Reynolds out. Now you can have a shitty night. So I took the machete. First I laid down, and I was going in my head about, what do I want to do? Do I want to try to play this game? If I do, which way can I go? There's not really anywhere for me to go. And I'm just like, you know what? Hell with it. I see the machete on the tree. I get up and I grab the machete, and I'm like, I'm going to go hide this. I can find shit. I can also hide shit. So, and they did say they did go look for it, and they never found it. So I hit the machete, and then Reynolds had made a comment before we were going to that tribal that he left on, where's the rice? And I look and the rice is gone. I thought that somebody else had grabbed the rice because they knew that Reynolds was getting ready to leave. So I thought somebody had the rice. No, Reynolds actually left with the rice. I just didn't know that. I was like, what were you going to do if I was still there? I wouldn't get anything to eat. Guess he wasn't concerned. So I took the lid to the pot because I was like, I'm not carrying that big ass pot somewhere. So I just took the lid because I wouldn't be able to use it if they did have the rice. And I hid it as well. And I was going to pour water on the fire and I started to, and then they were coming. So I didn't get very much water on the fire, but I put a little bit of water on the fire, I guess. And then they moved camps. I was like, it's crap. So I was upset about that, but.
Do you know if production was able to recover the machete and pot lid, or were those we lost?
No, I went back and got them. I had to. I was the only person that knew, like nobody else was going to find those. So Frank and I actually went the night of right before the finale party, and like right before it got dark, and walked out there and got them. So.
Yeah. I mean, you've had some time to think. Were there some other things that you should have done on your revenge tour?
I kept trying to come up with stuff and I couldn't come up with anything else really, because I wanted to make sure I didn't want to like actually touch anybody's belongings. And I thought about like maybe taking the tarp or something like that, but I was also tired. I'd already taken the food. I'd already taken the machete. There wasn't a whole lot they could have done. I guess I could have poured out their water. I did consider what I actually was going to do first was take all of the firewood and like throw it around so it wasn't like in a nice neat pile. I was going to throw it down the hill. But that was heavy and messy, and the machete seemed easier. So,
when Jatia poured her tribe's rice into the fire in Survivor Cagayan, she wasn't voted out. Reynolds really denied you that opportunity.
Yeah, I was okay with it. I was okay with that in that moment. I still kind of wonder why, if Tony did want to work with me, why he reacted the way he reacted. Because like he said that after the game, like I wanted to work, I was doing that because I was coming to you to see if maybe we could work together, but if that were the case, and all I ever told him to do was like, don't talk to me. That's the only thing I said. I didn't say anything else. Why not just wait till we got back to camp? So I kind of wonder if he really was wanting to work with me, or if he said that after the fact. But I don't know. It's just something that I've wondered a few times.
And definitely I think one of the challenges of these games is that because you're not eating, because you're not sleeping, people are playing or acting in ways that maybe they wouldn't had when they're watching from their armchair.
I like Tony. Like I don't have any ill will for him about it now. I did at one point, especially while we were still there. I was not real happy with him at all because I just thought we were cooler than that. So for him to have reacted that way towards me, I don't care why, what was happening. It wasn't necessary. So I was a little upset with him. I'm over it now. The only thing that I just really never got over was Todd coming on the interview and still just holding to his guns like that. Like I didn't do anything to you, Todd. Nothing. I didn't do anything to him. So I just don't understand, I guess, what his issue is with me. I mean, I have an issue with him now. He's definitely shown his true colors. But, I don't know. I guess old white guys will be old white guys. You know what I mean?
So that final 7 round, do you feel like there's anything else you possibly could have done to change things?
Maybe. Possibly, if I really wanted to have tried, I would have tried with Carly. I mean, I think even though, because Carly still to this day will say, well, I didn't vote him out. You didn't vote him out, but you also didn't help the situation. because I mean, maybe, I mean, if I was going to go to somebody, it would have been Carly. And if Carlos had been talking to Tony about it, or could talk to Tony about it, and Tony would have actually been open, maybe I could have pointed something out. I don't know that Carly would have turned on Austin, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I wasn't going to get all the way to the end regardless. I didn't have enough people that would have cared enough about helping me get to the end.
Were there? I'm curious. So, like, when you're in that loser group, you're voting together, and you vote Brent out. Were you tempted at all to vote Megan instead?
I wasn't, although I would have, but I didn't want that because of what just happened with Britt and I the round before.
Mm-hmm.
So there was already bad blood there with Brent and I.
And you had to seal the deal.
Times two, because if you go back to our other game too, I mean, there was bad blood there. So and the fact that I felt that Brent was more well-connected, and he was, than Megan was. So it was definitely a better move to take out Brent. But if I, for some reason, could not have, like, say he got that idol or something like that, I would have, yeah. Or if Reynolds would have, because Reynolds also was like, no, Brent's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
But if Reynolds, because Taylor didn't want Brent to go. So, if my back would have been against the wall, I would have voted Megan. I wouldn't have put up that much of a fight. I would have voiced my opinion, but if the numbers were not in my favor, I would have let it go and voted her.
Were there any other key decision points looking back at kind of the pre-merge and merge you think could have made things different for you down the line?
Definitely not voting Todd when Lydia went home.
Yeah.
That probably definitely hurt me the most. I think of all the moves that I had control over, that I could do something with, that was probably the worst one. Mm-hmm. Because even I wonder, because if I wouldn't have used my idol and Carly would have left, I still don't think anything would have changed for me. Maybe, I don't think I would have made it further in the game.
Maybe you idle out Megan next, that final 8, if you're able to save Reynolds at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe.
And now it's you, Reynolds. Maybe you still have Austin, your contingent. Carlos is kind of in the middle with Tony, Sharif, and Todd on the other side.
Would have still been there. Ugh. I do think that Sharif would have definitely come. I mean, Sharif was already coming for us. He just hadn't gotten a chance yet. So I think it was an uphill battle either way. Mm-hmm. Maybe if things would have gone just right. I also think if they wouldn't have carried that where they had the 2 immunities so long, I feel like they did unfair. I felt like it was a little unfair how long that it went, because it went till.
It went to final 9 was you had the balance, those little shotgun birdies up on that pedestal.
That's right.
Right, and
I tried so hard too. I really did. I tried really hard. I remember I was rooting Carly on because it was the girls against the guys.
Yep.
So, which in that game would not have been fair if it was against guys. I mean, it wouldn't have been. So maybe we could have held it at a different time. I don't know. But I was as soon as I dropped my hands, I was holding it okay, but the shaking, it started shaking and I just couldn't. And I could see Carly was kind of struggling too. So I just started yelling at her, Megan was shaking the whole time. I just was like, she's going to drop anytime. And she just kept hanging on because she was right next to me. I heard it shaking for a long time. And I still will say that one of my other favorite times, even though it didn't do me any good, is when that idol play went correctly and Carly stayed. Mm-hmm. And we got Sharif out. It was Sharif that left, yep. Right? Yeah. Reynolds and I, every time we get up and as someone's getting their torch snuffed, we're celebrating right there in their face. I mean, I loved it. Every time we did it, I loved it more. And then this time now we've brought in Carly with us. So it's not just Reynolds and I. Now we have Carly. I was enjoying playing the game with Carly. And that's the other thing is like, at the end of the day, if I'm having fun playing with you, I'd rather you stay in the game. Like we're having fun. Like, why don't we all work together? I understand that I don't play to win. I play to change the course of the game and I play to have fun. People play to win. I get it. It's complete, that's probably what I should be doing. I just don't.
I think it begs the question of what is the point of these games, right? We're taking in your mother. You have 3 kids in the house. At that point, you had 4 kids in the house, right? You don't get adventures like these very often. Like, what's the goal of this for you? And for you, it's fun, right? It's
fun. Yeah, I had a ton of fun. I don't regret it. I've made some moves that I could definitely have done differently. But at the end of it, I walked away having an absolute blast. I met a lot of people I enjoyed. I actually loved even more our production than I, knew before. Storm, I love Storm so much. I didn't really know him until this season, and he was hey Storm. He was just really funny. He was like, I just know I have to keep the camera rolling all the time because he caught again, me and my mouth. I kind of spit off when I am upset or annoyed, and I didn't think I'd ever fight a grown human being over a flashlight, but I did. And Storm was like, I caught it on camera because I learned I have to keep rolling around you because I'll do stupid things. Like, I can't remember who, it might have been Trevor, but I don't remember. Somebody caught it on camera right after it's happening because I'm still laughing at it. It was the dumbest thing ever. Reynolds and I were just like, at this point, we're just being stupid. And he goes and has the idol bag that the idol came in. He puts toilet paper in it and tosses it into the bush. Well, we're still thinking an idol's out there, so we're also looking for an idol. And I just happened to see that bag, and I forget that he's hidden it. So I get excited and reach down there to grab it, and at that very moment, Todd just happens to be walking by. Didn't know he was there until it happened. And as soon as I touch it, I realize it's not an idol. Todd now thinks I've planted this, and this is his whole big plan to do it in front of him. No, I'm just really that dumb. I'm just I'm stupid and I forgot it was there. And so it's how do you even play that? I found an idol that's not an idol that I just forgot was I just ended up being this is what we did. It was dumb. I didn't know what else to do, but dumb shit all the time.
So which season did you have more fun in?
Oh, definitely this season. Not even close.
If you take rain, if you don't factor in the rain, I guess.
I very much enjoyed the people I played with on my season, but I did not get that close to a lot of them. I actually walked away probably with a deep dislike for someone in the game who I actually am close friends with now. I don't say close friends, but we're good friends. And so there was a little bit of a bad taste left in the mouth with some of the players, and I just felt a little betrayed by some of them. And I was right because literally they all left one after another after me. I don't know. I just didn't feel like I got as close. But with this game, I got to actually play with some of my friends, and I got closer with Carly. I got a lot closer with, although we haven't talked since the game. But I don't know. I'd still love to go, hang out with her. So I think I was lucky to just get close, and I got to get closer with some of the production too. So yeah, and just the fact that I got to play with Reynolds and Taylor. And Carla, the fact that we were all in a game is crazy to me. I never in a million years thought I would be in a game with all of them. So
you mentioned earlier that, challenges just aren't your thing. you would just throw every challenge you could if you can get away with it. What would be your ideal challenge? One that like you would rock it?
Finding shit.
There's that Big Brother challenge thing called OTEV where you like go in the field, find stuff, and you keep doing that. Is that your ideal challenge?
As long as it doesn't require me like too much trivia that where I have to remember like who won the second immunity or something like that. Yes. I do. So I actually didn't do that bad in the Big Brother game I played. I won 2 HOHs and
That's neat.
found the frog thing. So I just, Survivor challenges are more physical and they're just more intense in general. And I'm not like in shape. I don't go to the gym. I eat chocolate chip cookies at night. So I'm just not, I'm also 39 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So those type of challenges, even probably in my 20s, I wouldn't have been good at them. I'm just not that athletic. So it's going to be more of the smaller challenges. Like I always said, if there's something medical related, I've been in the medical field for 22 years, I would beat everybody's ass. And while this isn't medical related, there was a challenge that I won, and you had to hold a board like this, and then there was a ball, and you couldn't let the ball roll. This exact form in my hand is how you go to stick people to draw their blood. So this is such a natural thing that I was like, I can stand like this forever because, you don't shake when you're drawing somebody's blood. So like something like that it's not going to be like a specific type of thing. It's going to be something weird, like because I hold my hand like this. That's just something I'm good at. So I don't, it's not going to be anything super physical, but it's going to be something weird.
I want to talk about the first individual immunity challenge, the one that started with swimming, ended with the snake puzzle. Because this is a challenge where I think you kind of point out like, hey, this swimming is a little bit crazy right now.
Yeah. So I'm, a Survivor player, but I'm also a mom and I'm also in the medical field. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be one before I'm the other sometimes. And I looked at how far they were swimming, and you couple that with the fact that they haven't been eating, they haven't been sleeping. They're definitely not at 100%. That would have been hard for anybody to do at 100%. Mm-hmm. There was one person in a kayak in the water. There was a long distance between where the kayak was and the shore. And if something happened, in the middle of that, it would have taken a little while for anyone to get to them. Mm-hmm. And I kind of freaked out. I started yelling. I was like, because they were supposed to do it like
4 times.
Yeah, 4 times. And they ended up just having to do it once or something. Mm-hmm. And I start screaming because I don't know what else to do. But I'm like, no, like if we're going to have challenges like this that are unsafe, I will not play any longer. Mm-hmm. And Pete was walking up the hill, and all of a sudden I start screaming at Pete. I'm like, Pete, this is not safe. He's like, I told him. So I'm glad that he did, he did see it. And then as soon as that happened, it's also, again, it was during that time when the nights were just freezing, absolutely freezing. And when you're not sleeping out there, I don't think you quite pay attention. And when you're in production too, you're moving around all the time. You're hot when it is night out there. So you're just not paying attention to how cold it is. But when you're out there trying to sleep in that, it's freezing. And I also kind of fought, and I was like, they need to be able to go inside and warm up, because I didn't want them coming back out there soaking wet, freezing, and, only having a fire to stay warm with, and, maybe not even, who knows if they have dry clothes by that time. So yeah, I did fight for that one, on that one a little bit, because that was just, I don't know. If I see something that's dangerous, I'm going to say something. So.
I'm trying to think. I feel like in a very nonlinear fashion, we've tackled. No, I think there's a little bit more. I guess. Do you want to talk about your jury vote a little bit? You already talked about round table. You were pushing for Austin because you felt there was a more stronger Megan contingent, and do you want to talk a little bit about the differences you saw between Austin and Megan's game that had you?
So, I'm not saying that by Austin winning that Megan played a bad game. I don't think Megan played a bad game. I do think that Megan played a very straightforward game. You could see the game that she played. There wasn't a lot of frills in it. It wasn't a fancy game, and it was a way to get to the end. She went with her alliance. She made it there. She didn't really have a lot of stuff standing in her way. I don't feel like she was in trouble maybe one round or something, but really she really wasn't in trouble. I mean, she did find an idol. She had that, but she could win a couple of challenges. I am not a person, I don't care if you won 25 challenges. I'm actually more impressed if you got there and you didn't win any.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you had to rely more on strategic and your social skills. And while challenges are a part of it, in the way I look at it, I don't care. Unless maybe it would impress me if, like, say somebody tried to get you out from the beginning of merge and you just were able to win all the way there or something crazy like that. But winning a challenge here or there, I don't care about it. So I just feel like Austin's was more stealthy. I think that he had to make more news. I think one of the hardest parts of the game is knowing when to flip, doing it correctly, and flipping to people who will actually have your back and be able to work with that. He kind of did it a few times. Like Frank said, he took me out, and then he took the people I wanted to work with and worked with them. Mm-hmm. That's impressive. So my jury vote was kind of instant. Plus, at the end of the day, I do think that you're somewhat inclined to voting with someone who you saw their game more than, like, I didn't see Megan's. I saw Megan's game from afar, but I actually worked with Austin. I saw his game closer and I understood it more. Megan, and I don't know that it's through Megan's fault. It's kind of the game that Megan had to play. Mm-hmm. She was smart to keep Todd around. I mean, she brought Todd to the end. Todd, therefore, all the votes were split between two people and not three, because, I don't think anyone was super. I think Todd puts too much on challenges. Mm-hmm. Todd sees the game as a challenge-based game, and it's such a small part. I think not just in me, but I think a lot of people, it's just a small part of the game. Like he made the comment of he, was glad to go all the way to the end with competitors, kind of insinuating that Carly wasn't, when Carly won several challenges as well. So I think Carly kicked ass in some of the challenges. I mean, she was literally vomiting and then going back out there and running harder. So I don't know. I guess, you can see the game however you want to. This game's very open to interpretation, and that's probably one of the reasons why I love it and hate it. But I don't know. Austin just played better game. It just all around, the fact that he knew when to flip, how to flip, that he took, like I said, you can't say that he did anything wrong. I mean, he literally, we let that slide about Carlos not thinking a thing about it, and he ended up flipping on us next round because of that. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty smart. I mean, because, if you'd asked me in the moment, I would have been like, well, that's not that big of a deal. That was a stupid reason. But he got to the end, and he flipped when he needed to, and he checked out who he needed to take out. So it was a good move. I don't know. He was actually making moves where I think Megan was just doing whatever was next.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, is there anything else about your game you want to talk about that we haven't had a chance to dig into?
Let me check my texts and see if there is.
Okay, excellent.
No, I don't have any texts. Okay. Reynolds, if you're watching this and I have forgotten something, let me know. No, I'm really happy. I'm happy with how it went. I'm happy with all of it. I'm excited to see what the next season has to offer. I think that Amos is really excited. about it already, and they're already starting to do casting, which is way earlier than they normally do. So I'm expecting a really good cast, and to get to be there and to watch some of it unfold, and I don't know, see Reynolds again. Really, I mean, that's what I look forward to the most every. It's so sad. I do. I look forward to it every year.
And here I am waiting for the next All-Star seasons for me to have a chance to get to play again.
You never know. There's been heroes versus villains going around forever.
I need a season where they bring people who did really stupid things back, so I have a chance I can get redemption there.
Maybe. Would you be a hero or a villain? When did you go out? You went out
7th.
That's good.
I went out with an idol in my pocket.
I played an idol on somebody who had 0 votes.
Sure.
And I don't regret it. So there's that.
I will say I think playing an idol is always better than not playing an idol.
I want the idols, but I didn't really like having it in a way. It was kind of like, now you have that increased pressure of doing the right thing with it, where if you don't have an idol, you don't have to worry about it. I'd almost rather like my closest have the idol instead of myself.
I found out when I had the idol, it was so hard to keep it a secret. It was such a struggle, so much more than I ever thought it would be. I just wanted to blurt it out to the world, like I have it.
So when I found the first idol, I literally couldn't, because Ame found it with me. So right then and there, I'm like, I felt like Ame was going to tell Austin. I mean, I'm going to tell Reynolds and Frank. Like, there's no way I'm not going to tell Reynolds and Frank. That was it. That was our whole tribe besides Nate and Josh. So it's like, you might as well just put, and I didn't make it obvious to Josh or Nate. I don't know that Nate ever knew I had it. But I'm very certain that Josh knows I had it, even though we didn't talk about it. But it was like, once Ame saw me get it, so I did admit it to Austin, because it would have been dumb for me not to, because it was going to get back around to him. So he might as well hear it from me, so I don't lose that distrust. So, sometimes it's better to tell people that you have it. It wasn't my case, I think.
Well, as we wrap up here, I have some kind of rapid fire questions I'd like to lob at you. Are you game for that?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So from your original season, Calvin's Revenge, who still has unfinished business?
Ooh. Chapman.
From your current season, who still has unfinished business?
I mean, you kind of got to go with Taylor, because she really couldn't play it all the way out. But I mean, you could also say Skylar. You could say Frank. You could say
everyone who didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, really, there was so many good players. I mean, even Sharif. He's another one. There's so many. I don't feel like I do, though. They asked me what my unfinished business was, and again, I always have favorite parts in the game that have nothing to do with game, really. And my favorite part in season 8 was pouring down rain, as it should be, and we decided to just do a group idol hunt, and I'm running barefoot through the woods, pouring down rain, just having fun. You're just a kid running through the woods, playing in the rain. It was fun. I didn't find the idol. The only time it started to rain was when we got that idol clue. And again, I'm running through the woods and I find the idol. So I felt like I did finish my business. Like I said, I don't play to win. The orgs that I have won, I never walked away feeling like I won. I felt like I had to do stuff to hurt people. And it just didn't feel that great to me. So I would rather walk away with my friendships intact, knowing that I did what I could for the people that were closest to me. And, that's it. And that's why I don't regret it. I was with Carly, so I don't regret using it. And she didn't win, so I can say that was the wrong move for her. So there's that.
Your cast or blood versus water season. What family member is your blood for the game?
Um, what cast member that I played with, or in
No,
just?
if you had to pick a family member to play
My
Survivor
husband.
with you, your husband.
My husband. Yeah, 100%. I mean, he knows the game, so it would be awful. By the way, it'd be horrible to watch us play a game all the way through. We do not play the same game. I'm typically going to work with people that he doesn't work with. He works with females and I work with males. So just that right there, it doesn't go over well. But we still end up having each other. It's kind of like Carlos, how Carlos and I are in games. I think my husband and I are in games like that, except my husband and I will be meaner about it. But yeah.
So what was your favorite challenge that you competed in?
Okay, I don't remember them. I remember there was some I really liked, though. I remember. Oh man, I kind of liked that crate thing where you just held your that, or even like the counting where you were guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember liking that too. Like it's the simple stuff. It's not the really difficult skill-based stuff that I'm gonna like. So I like the luck stuff too, because I think it throws a different dynamic into the game.
What was your favorite camp life moment?
Pretty much any of the time of my first tribe. All of it, the whole thing. Him building the bench. Actually, I'll say it was that night, that first night. It was like, I don't know, we were up all night, middle of the night, just sitting around the campfire talking. I think we were all awake. I don't know, just stuff like that.
Who do you wish you had a chance to work with but didn't?
I mean, I guess Sharif. Yeah.
Who surprised you the most out there?
Probably Austin. Coming off the top. Carly, 100% Carly.
I need to get Carly's schedule. I think she's gonna be one of the last interviews I do, because she almost universally is everyone's answer for that question, which is fascinating.
Really? Yeah, she's so from the first. So I have known her, but we weren't like, we played a couple or maybe one or two works together, but like we never worked together. We never, kind of just knew of each other. And then I met her when she played her season, and she was so quiet because she was out of the game at that point.
Yeah.
She was just so incredibly quiet. And I was like, man, like, okay, I wasn't expecting it. And so for her to be like, oh wait, never mind. I just realized my favorite comp is the comp that Carly and I played, where we're screaming at each other the entire time. And I realized this girl and I work the same way. Like, I think she kind of has that where she'll spout off too. And like, we just start screaming at each other, but neither one of us is taking it to mean any kind of way, which is exactly the kind of person I need to be around. Like, don't listen to my crap. It's just crap, and I'll be over it in 2 seconds. And I think that the fact that she could understand that and I could understand that about her, for one, shocked me, because I would have never thought that she was that kind of girl. So I don't know. And then, yeah, just being able to play that comp and be dumb and scream and yell, and then we still won and came back when we were down, was pretty awesome. So
I think I know the answer to this, but what was your lowest moment in the game?
When Reynolds left, and I realized Carlos voted him out. It wasn't so much that Reynolds left. I mean, if they've got us, they've got us. It was that it was done through Carlos that was the problem for me.
What was your highest moment in the game?
The second vote when Reynolds and I realized that we just got something really going and we're going to be okay for a minute in the game. And we both hop out of our seat and start hugging and cheering as whoever left the game. I don't remember who it was. Adam?
So the second merge votes are, so when Adam got voted out then?
Yeah, that's when it was. Yeah, it's great. It was a good time.
Shot in the dark, love it or hate it?
I'm not a fan. I mean, it didn't really, I don't know that it changed my game too much. Who was the second shot in the dark?
Skylar.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it changed. It almost probably kind of worked out in my favor because Nate went and Skylar stayed. But
granted, you lost Franklin because Skylar stayed, so.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I think it has too much power. And the fact that it hit twice, like, I don't know. The odds just didn't seem that great to hit twice, and it did. So that sucked. But
do you have any takeaways from this season?
It was better than I ever dreamed about it being. Like, Reynolds and I both thought there's no way we're ever going to even be able to play together. And the fact that we played, till final 7 and final 8, and we did whatever we wanted, and we were just ourselves. And like, it was just so much more fun than having to play quietly and in the background. So yeah, I had so much fun.
And would you play another game?
Would I play another Reelfoot season, or would I play another LRG?
Survivor game. It doesn't need to be Reelfoot per se.
Yes. I don't know that I would play another Reelfoot game. Maybe if you ask me in 5 years. The only reason I wouldn't want to is just because I don't feel like I have anywhere to go but down.
Yeah.
Like, I had such a good time. The odds of me having that much fun again and the game going the way that I want to and playing with the people that I want to it's just not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen. Maybe I'll change my mind in, 5 years I want to do it. But as far as playing another Survivor game, yes, I would like to. Maybe in a year, maybe 2 years. I'm helping on prod for a couple of games next year, so I doubt that I'll play any. But eventually, maybe I will again. I mean, it'd be nice to say I played a game like after I hit 40.
Well, is there any games or any person you want to shout out or mention as we wrap up here?
So the games that I'm helping on prod, I'm not sure I'm supposed to mention one, so I won't. But Apex in June of 2020 and Reelfoot in June of 2020, I'll be at both. So if you haven't applied for Reelfoot yet, please do. It's so much fun. You have no idea. I mean, I met like some of my best friends there, so it's a great experience. It's just like, I don't know, going to camp every year or something. I guess that's how kids feel. I never went to camp, but yeah.
I've always viewed these games as basically, it has the same air as like summer camp, where you go, you have this really intense experience, you meet people, and then because it's 2023, you have social media, so you can actually keep in touch with them.
Yeah. It's really, I don't know, it's fun. And it's also like, you might not talk to those people or see them very much until the next year, but then when you see them the next year, it's like you just pick up again where you left off. I don't know. It's just really awesome. I love it. And I think I'm growing closer and closer with some of the people from there too, which is I like. So I actually played, so Big Brother Hogwarts had a big showing of Reelfoot. Pete played, I played, Michael Areer played, Stacy Brooks played. And DeJuan Watts played. And Stacy won because she stabbed us all in the back. But still, Stacy won. So yeah, I mean, it carried over. Reelfoot carried over another game because I was immediately gonna, have their backs. And like Michael and I, we've been there before, but we never were super close. And this weekend, I'm supposed to go hang out with him and his wife, and we're going to go take her to Broadway for the first time. So, well, we're supposed to. I don't know if we still are. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just fun stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Amber, I'm so glad that we finally got the schedule to talk. I really was excited. I'm really appreciative of hearing your game and just your experience you had out there.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I don't regret any of it. So.
Yeah, and everyone for tuning in, thank you so much for listening. There will be more interviews in the future. I am sitting down with Adam tomorrow morning to hear from him. So if you aren't doing anything at 10 a.m. Central Time, join me for that. But Amber, once again, thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah. And have a great rest of your evening, everyone.